Undefeated Truth. Before you do anything, like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Today I got Jered on the show, also known as the motherfucking Savage from Bellator MMA.
Oh, that sounds really good.
So you're from Hawaii, correct?
Correct.
What part of Hawaii are you from?
I'm from Oahu in Kaneohe on the East Coast.
So you played football in high school?
I played football in high school almost my whole life. Started when I was 9 or 10. I got to hit a lot of people, so that was the best part.
Is that where your craziness started developing from football?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. All the head trauma.
So in high school, were you always getting into fights?
Going into high school when everyone started figuring out that I fight in the off season, it all went down from there.
So if you guys haven't seen him, this is his highlight reel. All wins in under 222.
Yes.
Damn. How do you even get into pro fighting? Like, because Bellator is separate from pro, right? You could still be pro and not be in Bellator.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about your journey to, like, where was your first fight? Who got you into thinking that you could do this professionally?
Football was my main thing. Like, I always thought I was going to be a pro football player, get into NFL.
Okay.
I did very well in high school playing ball. You know, I was one of the top athletes. I needed something to keep myself from getting fat in the off season. You know, I always in off season it was kind of like, let's go to the beach and let's eat. It was actually my brother. He was always the one that pushed me to kind of start training, and he was like, it'll complement football. You know, get your footwork going, and it just made me a better overall athlete. And I did it for a while, and I was like, I'm actually kind of good at this stuff. You know?
So you automatically went into training like MMA type style?
Yes, mixed martial arts development. It was one of the bigger, top-notch gyms in Hawaii at the time, and a bunch of hammers was out of that gym. Like, we had a couple guys that was in the UFC that trained with us. My brother guys and his group of friends, they were always like, yo, Ty's gonna be able to beat your ass when you get older, you know? Like, he's like, you better watch out, stop talking shit to him.
What's your first pro fight that you've done?
My first pro fight was, actually showed in that video, was that one in the boxing ring. That was my first pro fight. I had actually waited 2 years for that pro fight. Apparently I had at least a dozen guys pull out against me because they didn't want to fight me.
Really?
Yeah.
But did you have a record before? Because I only saw you had like one thing on your amateur record, right?
Yeah, a lot of them weren't sanctioned.
Okay.
So in Hawaii, for some reason, they don't really put everything on.
But they're like, we know this guy fucked some people up back home.
Yeah. So I probably had, I had several kickboxing fights and all smokers that really it was more exhibition stuff than anything. So there weren't real actual amateur fights, but I guess you can kind of count it. I was sort of punching people in the face. Yeah, going into my first fight, I had 3 MMA fights amateur, and they're all wars. And like a couple of those were, I probably had my face smashed in quite a bit, and I have some pretty good pictures where my face is cut up.
Maybe the bitch filter makes me look good, even with the fucked up face.
What's your worst injury that you've gotten? What's your worst injury personally? First, tell me that.
I tore my MCL back when I was
MCL?
Yeah, my MCL.
What the fuck's an MCL?
You got the ACL, the PCL.
I didn't know there was more CL.
Yeah, I do got a couple CLs in there.
I just hear ACL all the time.
Well, when he told me it was a torn MCL, I was like, cool. So it's not the really important one. Because we don't know about the other two.
Yeah, we don't even know about it. So.
But the inside of your knee. So it would be the inside part of that holds that structure.
So what's your worst injury you've done to somebody else?
I think I broke a dude's nose. Apparently,
Isn't that common now
or
no?
Yeah, it's pretty common in fighting.
But because when you're kicking these people like that, like I feel like you're breaking like a bone, like their cheekbone or something.
Yeah, you could actually do it. One of my buddies actually just fought a couple weeks ago, and he just broke his orbital bone, took a knee to the face, an illegal knee. But
so what happens if something illegal happens then?
It's just a disqualification.
Okay.
Call the fight.
So where do you get the nickname Savage from?
I actually got it in high school. Everyone was like, oh, Ty's always, he's always cleaning guys out. He doesn't give a damn. Like, I was kind of notorious for illegal hits in high school.
Illegal.
I was taking off whoever's head I could. Like, if you were in front of me, you better watch out. Head on the swivel, bud.
Once he grew in 12th grade, guys, he was just running through the fucking hallway.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just got over it. I was like, I'm not gonna be the nice guy. Screw this. Let's have fun. And when I came out here, everyone's like, oh yeah, Ty's a savage. Like he busts his ass, works hard, and like ain't nothing stopping him, you know. Like I always kind of had that mentality. It's like, if you gotta kill me to get me to stop, like it's just how it is.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, you're savage. So I was like, oh, that's a nice ring to it.
So tell me the process of getting into like Bellator. How many pro fights do you have to win? Like, is it?
So I was fortunate that I made a big splash when I came out. So like I said, it took me almost 2 years to make my pro debut, and in that 2 years, I almost thought about quitting fighting. I was getting really impatient, just back to back, always trying to get a fight, and someone pulls out.
How many people dropped out?
I think it was exactly 10.
10 people?
10 people pulled out.
Damn, y'all should be a fucking ashamed of yourselves.
I understand picking your fights and whatnot, especially at an early stage of your career.
But like early stages, aren't you supposed to take whatever the fuck you could get anyway? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, let's do this shit. Like,
Yeah.
if you can fight, then you should be going in confidently.
Yeah, that's the only way to step on the scene is you gotta take the first step and actually be down. My first fight, I took it on like 3.5 weeks notice. It was a short notice. I was actually
Fat.
yeah, just a little bit. So I was still drinking at the time. I was actually in the middle of a San Diego Chargers Kansas City preseason game. I was in the middle of smashing a beer and a burger, and my coach calls me. He's like, hey, how's your weight?
You mean after today? I don't know.
Look at my burger and my beer, and I was like, well, it's all right. What's up? He's like, you want to fight in 3.5 weeks? I was like, yeah, let's get it. I'm down. So as soon as I get off the phone, I look at my boy. I'm like, bruh, I just got a call for a fight. And he's looking at me. He's like, well, you better enjoy the rest of that burger and that beer. My 4 fights, I finished all of them in under 2.5 minutes, you know, and which is pretty spectacular, I guess.
It's fucking humble ass.
Trying to be. Sheesh.
I guess it's okay that I knocked out people under 2 minutes. How long is a normal fight?
15 minutes total. So
wow.
Unless it's a title fight, it'll be five rounds, 5 minutes each, so 25 minutes. But yeah, so I haven't made it through half a round until my last fight. I had finished my last fight was that one body kick you showed. It was right after that fight, I got a call from one of my buddies who had been with a couple of the guys with Bellator watching a fight, and they actually made the deal that night, and they pulled through and was like, hey, you want to fight for Bellator? And
nice.
So I was really fortunate that same night I got the call, you know, and signed the contract, a month later.
Wow.
So it was kind of a blessing, you know.
So is Bellator like a form of...
It's an organization.
Okay, an organization.
So a promotion, yeah. So like you got the UFC is their promotion.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Is the
Bellator.
UFC separate?
Yes.
Okay.
They're separate. So
but
it's
what
like
you're
a competitor.
doing and what you're doing is MMA, not UFC, correct?
Yes, correct.
What's
so
the difference?
UFC is just a promotion, Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's like the NFL, National Football League.
Oh, okay.
So and then you got Canadian Football League would be CFL. So that's what we would be like. Bellator is the CFL to UFC. You wouldn't say, oh, I do UFC. It's actually,
I just always remember hearing that. So what does it take now to get, is that what you're working towards, or are you just...
No, I'm happy where I'm at.
Happy where you're at, okay.
Yeah, like, I don't see UFC as the promotion that's bigger or more glorified or anything than where I'm at. It's the same level, it's just a different promotion. One promotes better than the other, and one's more known than the other, you know?
So wait, how long have you been in Bellator?
Since December 19th. That was my debut with Bellator.
Okay.
And I signed in contract with them around October last year.
Oh,
September,
okay.
October, yeah.
So what's going on for this year? Because we're obviously shut down. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so they're having their first show this Friday. They're trying to bring it back slowly. They told me roughly August, September. I'm hoping for sooner. I'm kind of ready to go. I
was going to say, are you ready?
I'm kind of just I'm itching. I need to punch someone.
How do you even decide that you want to just fuck people up for a living? Like, do you think you're a little bit crazy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think all fighters are crazy. That's my stigma.
Crazy. Yeah, 100%.
I dated like a wrestler / boxer,
Uh-huh.
and that was like the craziest person I've ever met in my life, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So your 4 fights that you did do, they were all KOs, correct? Knockouts?
Correct.
Okay. 1 body kick, head kick, and then I saw like the punching one too. How often does it happen that you hit somebody and they just fucking knock out? Like, do you know the certain places to hit so that they knock out quick, or is it just...
I mean, you gotta obviously aim for the chin, but
you know how some people are like,
is.
ding, and then they can like make people pass out real quick? Is it like that?
That's like a pressure point, you know? But that's some ancient Chinese stuff. Like, nobody knows how to touch somebody and dead, you know? But that'd be great in a fight. I mean, maybe not kill them, but just knock them out. You gotta be a different breed of people, for sure. To be okay with inflicting pain on people and be okay with it.
On yourself.
Yeah, you know, like, but you don't really think about that when you're locked in there kind of thing. Like, the only thing I think about is really like, it's him or me, you know, at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I also get paid or I don't. We get paid our full paycheck if we win. We get half our paycheck if we just show up to fight. And it's business. It's not like, I don't gotta hate you to punch you in the face. Like, we do it at practice every day with my friends.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, do you think of these, like, this person just, like, fucked your mom or something when you get up there so you could get angry? Like,
that's deep.
Well, that would be, like, a thing
heavy.
I think guys would think. Like, oh, this dude just, like, fucked my mom or something. I'm like, hey, what else are you going to get mad over?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people got to go to a real dark place. I know some people, they really got to be like, yeah, let's go to a dark place so I can beat your ass. But...
You're just like, I can do it for fun.
Yeah, for me, it's fun. Like, we did it for fun anyway growing up. We got into fights growing up. It was kind of like, fine. You want to talk shit? Cuz, let's go. We'll step outside, all right? And then shake hands after, and it's cool. So that's kind of how I see fighting. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad if someone punched me in the face that, like, I couldn't be talking to them after.
Oh, I get mad when people punch me in the nose. You clip my nose and it's just some type of way. I'm like, oh, it's on. Punch me anywhere else.
What is the normal pay off these fights? Like, can you survive? I know you're young, so 25, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can you survive, like, long term on this salary that they're giving you?
I feel like the guys that are actually making money are the guys that's been around, like, the top 10, top 15. And those are the guys that are making, you know, maybe a little over 40K just to show up for a fight, you know? And if, you know, a lot of times our pay is like, so if your show is 40, you get paid 40 if you win again. So it's 80K in that fight if you win and make weight. So those guys, obviously, you can make it off 80K a year, and you fight 2-3 times a year.
Oh, because you're only fighting a couple times a year.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So you could make a living off of it, and there is fighters that don't get paid as well on the come up. So a lot of us have full-time jobs on the side or something part-time, but you know, and some people are fortunate enough to get sponsors and be able to just live off their sponsorships and just train. I was fortunate to just save some money, work the whole lot, and then I quit my job and I was like, I'm going all in. And I'm living broke. Like, I was living bare minimum if I could, just to get to training, eat, and for, you know, I spent 1.5 years just trying to do that. It paid off. So here I am now.
So what's the normal, like, diet and training schedule to get you into a fight? Like, what's your prep?
Everyone's different. I like to get 5 weeks at least. 5 weeks is enough for me to cut the 23 pounds, get till fight day.
How much do you weigh now?
I'm about 204, waking up in the mornings.
So what's your weight? You're middleweight, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
185.
Okay.
So I got to be on scale at 185. 186 at the most. Because we get a 1 pound leeway.
What?
We get a 1 pound leeway.
You have to weigh that exact amount?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you got to be on scale at 85 the day before the fight.
So what's the middleweight class? So it's not a range, it's just 185?
Nope, 185, and then whatever you hop into the cage the next day is kind of whatever's. So, like, I've got a couple fights where I weighed in about 84.8, and I walked into the cage the next day probably roughly about 203, 202. So
wow.
I put on 15, 16 pounds overnight, you know, after hydrating. A lot of guys are like that, though.
So you have a fight in 5 weeks from now, so you're going to lose 20 pounds?
Yes.
What are you doing to do that?
So for me...
Quick diet tips, guys. Take
quick diet tip. I'm actually lucky my body is really good about cutting the weight. I get maybe 2,500 calories a day, roughly. And that's enough for me to be still kind of in a deficit because I train so much.
Right.
So as long as I'm in that deficit, I'm still losing half a pound, you know, every 2-3 days.
Are you working out twice a day or once a day or?
I get at least 4 sessions a day. So I'm probably
4 sessions?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm getting my strength and conditioning in the morning, which is about 2 hours. And then I'll do pro practice, another hour and a half, close to 2 hours. And then I'll do another extra session for another hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And then if I'm feeling up for it, I'll get one more in if I feel good.
And then after your fight, do you just get fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like to get fat after my fights. A lot of people are like, nah, you got to stay in shape and get back in the gym right away. Nah, I'm taking 2 weeks. I'm eating everything I craved for 6 weeks. Yeah. Cheers.
What age do people fight to? Like, what's the cap out here? Is it as long as you take care of your body and you live a healthy lifestyle?
It's becoming that, like any sport. You take care of your body. Everyone's kind of, seems like sport longevity is getting, it's a lot longer. Like you got guys that are playing football well into their 40s, playing basketball well into their 40s. But for fighters, it's really taxing on the body. Like I'm pretty beat up already from football, and
Right.
I'm one of those people that kind of needs to stretch already getting out of bed. Like 25 years old, like
Wow.
that shouldn't even be a thing. But
That was going to be one of my questions. If you like, what the long-term effects are, and if it's related, like if it's kind of like football, because I know they get the CTE from getting
punched, getting
but
kicked
like
in the
you're
head.
getting fucking punched in the head. So is it the same type of disability or a fucking?
Yeah, I would consider that a disability.
Can you get the same things from doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
Is there like a rule that you can't punch in the head or something, or?
You can't hit anything behind the ear to the opposite ear.
Okay.
And on the crown of the head, nothing on the crown of the head.
Okay.
So you kind of protect the soft spots.
The back of your head is safe.
Yeah, back of your head's
Fuck,
safe.
the temples are open. Open game.
I mean, you think about it, we can throw elbows to people's face, and it's fair game, you know? You can obliterate someone's eyes and face with elbows in it.
What have you felt the most as far as, like, when you wake up in the morning, you have to stretch, what hurts the most?
My shoulder and my back. I've been dealing with some shoulder problems that's from just hitting and taking. I've dislocated my shoulder probably a dozen times from football, so I'm paying for it a little extra now.
Okay.
Hitting the bag and, you know, just all that impact from punching and stuff. My back too. My back is pretty bad. Like,
You need the Thai people to walk on your back.
yeah,
They're the best, man.
Thai lady stepping on my back would be great. I wish I had one on, like, just on speed dial.
I'll give you my girl Noi.
Noi?
She's at Bangkok Thai Spa.
It's not a happy ending, is it?
It's not. I mean, she hasn't tried with me. I don't know. You never know.
Wait.
I felt like I've had some Asians almost try though. They're like, "Oh, dragon," and then they're like, "I'm like, all right, like you're on my ass a little, like too in there." Do you have like a specific thing you do besides stretching? Like, do you take CBD? Do you?
I do not take CBD.
Okay.
One, because it's too damn expensive to buy them. Two, I kind of just.
Have you ever tried it though for
have.
your pain?
I have.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't really tried anything that really works. I don't know if it's a placebo thing, because I don't even believe medicine works. So I don't take medicine.
Oh, you don't take any medicine?
No.
You're one of those.
I'm
You're
one
like,
of
if I have a
them.
headache, I'm gonna ride it out.
Go to bed.
I'm popping them Advil, man.
Drink some water and take a nap. Like, sleep it off, cause we're good.
Well, that's the whole kind of purpose of the plants over pills thing that's going on now, that everyone's kind of awakening to, because everybody takes pills for everything.
Yeah.
And like they do nothing positive for your body.
No.
So people are now like finding out that THC and CBD, even like I give my mom CBD. That's how she goes to sleep. She takes gummies. She doesn't like weed. She doesn't want to get high.
Yeah.
She's over that. So now she's like, I just want something that's going to like make me feel better and make me be able to sleep.
I've taken some CBD for sleep over the last maybe 2 months or so. It's been really helping. out, waking up. Like,
Right.
I'm like,
Do you wake up feeling good though, or groggy?
I'm groggy.
Yeah.
But I be popping. I'm like, candy. Says take 2. I'm like, here's 4.
I'm
like,
hungry.
Yeah, and it just tastes good. You know, strawberry kiwi.
I know, that's
gummies.
why I hate when they make like the edibles and they're like one thing and it tastes so good, and I'm like, I want to eat more, but I can't because I can't handle it.
Yeah, you know.
Do they drug test in?
They
MMA?
do. So with the UFC, they're actually with USADA. So they're the same company that tests the Olympics. And so they're not supposed to really have any weed. I just try to stay clean. Last thing I need is to win a fight and be like, hey, you test positive. Oh, son of a little.
Have you ever taken steroids?
I took anabolic steroids when I was a senior in high school.
What's the anabolic mean?
To be quite honest, I can't give you the real actual definition of it.
It just sounded like I've heard the name.
It's in steroid.
I've heard it, but I didn't know if it was like separate, like if it's not a needle or.
No, it's not needle. It was a cycle of pills, which is bad for you, especially because your liver got to break it down. That's how you get your liver gets messed up.
Did you lose weight really quick?
I
Or
actually
you gained it?
I gained. I got big. Hawaii, it's kind of a normal thing for like our uncles and our coaches be like, hey, like take this so you can get bigger. Like I remember being offered to take D-balls when I was in like 6th grade. They didn't care. They just wanted to win football games, and so it's normal. Like a lot of the people I was friends with in high school, they were like this. I'm over here like, yo, why are you guys getting so big over summer? Like, who's giving you good stuff, you know? And I was always scared, but when I was a senior, my uncle was like, he's all into lifting, and he was like, here, I gotta take a cycle of this, because I kind of peaked out. So I was stuck at 165, 170 pounds, and I was 5'11", and I was like, I need to get bigger for college football. And so I took a cycle of that, and I blew up. So I went probably from 170 probably to about 210, 215 in that one cycle, and I was just killing
How long was
weight.
the cycle?
A month.
What?
Yeah, it was
Oh my God.
It was like 2-3 pills every day for a month.
Wow.
And I'd never do it again, because like my nipples got very sensitive. And then in Hawaii, we call them, I don't know what everybody else calls them. They call them like cone nipples. Like, you ever see people when they got like their areolas is like really cone looking and they got a nipple on there? It looks like
Cone nipples?
Yeah, they look like little cones on your chest or your
Do you
breast.
mean like long nipples, or do
Nah,
you mean like
they're
a
like a
cone?
cone.
Shit. Okay.
They look like, what is that candy that they give out on Halloween?
Candy corn.
The candy corn. It looks like candy corn on your chest. But it's
Candy corn
it's
nipples.
So when I was on it, I was like, oh man, my nipples are sensitive. It hurt. Like, I didn't like it. I started getting like a little ball in there, and I was like, I don't like this stuff. I don't want to do it anymore. I was like, and then I was like, man, they give me bitch tits. Like, so after I took that cycle, I mean, granted I got big, but it took like maybe 3 or 4 months roughly for them to finally settle down and not look like bitch tits and not be sensitive.
Did you have roid rage?
I did. I did. It was really bad.
What does unanimous decision mean?
Unanimous is just a nice word for you basically beat the shit out of the other guy. He didn't win a round. Like, you just beat him up the whole fight.
So if that happens every time, they're gonna say unanimous decision.
Yes.
So it's never gonna be like another decision. It's just
It would
unanimous.
be, the only other one is split decision.
Okay, what's that?
And a split decision would be like a real close fight. So like a 3-round fight would be like, I won the first round, the other guy won the 1 round, and then the 3rd round kind of goes to whoever won that. So it'd be like 2-1.
Kind of telling you like you just lost that last round.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I would never want to lose a split decision. You're like this. Yes, I'm gonna win. Oh no, never mind.
Is there anybody that you look up to in like your industry that you haven't met or that you've met that's kind of like a role model for you?
2 of my really close friends that's really been there for me my whole career, amateur and pro. Brad Tavares, he's a middleweight in the UFC. He was one of my brother's good friends, and I started out at the same gym that he was at Mixed Martial Arts Development back in Hawaii. He kind of was the one that almost laid my foundation for me when I moved up here and kind of pushed me to be more. He was always like, oh, I need you to be on your shit, like, so I could use you as a training partner. I need you to push me and stuff. And it was kind of one of those things where I wanted to be a good training partner for him. Uriah Hall, he's also a middleweight in the UFC as well. And he's always been kind of that little extra push as well. He kind of always was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, let's go train right now. And be like, wait, what? It's 7 o'clock at night. Like, we're not doing anything anymore. He's like, no, let's just go get after it. So he's always inviting me into his sessions as well. So, which I appreciate, you know. Somebody wants me to be around and work out and push them. So he's always been there for me. And he's always been at all my fights. He's drove out to all my fights and was like, oh, I just want to come and watch it. And
Nice.
in my last fight, he showed up and he's like, bro, you make me drive 9 hours for you to fight for a minute and 45 seconds. Like, he's like, can you, like, he's like,
Can you string him along a little bit?
Yeah, tag him along a little bit. I was like, well, what if I lose? Then you drove out for nothing. And
Nice.
yeah,
Touche.
yes.
What's your favorite workout to do as far as for your training?
Strength and conditioning is probably one of my favorite things about being a fighter. Like, I get to test myself on the weights and what I could do with my conditioning wise, like being able to push myself to where I'm like ready to pass out. I kind of love that feeling, like going to that dark place and you're like redlining and you're like, fuck, I'm gonna fucking drop dead. But I kind of like that. Yeah.
You're dating an MMA fighter as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is it like crazy to date somebody that's in the same line as you, or is it easier because you guys are on the same schedule?
She's in the UFC, so it's hard and it's easy at the same time. In a normal relationship, everyone thinks, oh, it's 50-50, you know, like, or you meet each other halfway and you get your attention, I get my attention, whatever it is. And in this sport, when we have fights coming up, like, we gotta know when the attention is 100% to them or vice versa. Not everyone understands the fight game outside of fighting. So dating another fighter really makes it a lot easier because, like, they can understand when you're hitting that very shitty day, when your training sessions all suck, your body's beat, and they know how to kind of just be like, okay, like, either I give you a little bit of space or just be there, help you relax,
right.
You know? And most people would be like, oh, why aren't you giving me attention? Why is your energy flat? Or,
right.
you know, whatever it is. And it goes for both male and female, you know?
What if you have the same, like, are your fights always away from each other, or are they like...
Or we think about it as like, oh, we don't want to get in the way of each other's fights, especially if we're going to be a part of it. Like, if I'm going to travel, you don't want to get in the way of, oh, I got to fight next week. Because then you take away from him or her that's got that fight first, right? So I was trying not to book anything when she had something or vice versa. But she got hurt and I ended up taking the fight a week later and it worked out perfect. But it's just kind of that balance, you know, like when I'm fighting, I'm expecting all my energy for me and vice versa.
So can you not have sex before your fight? Does that take your energy out? Like, do you guys have a rule about that?
Stuff. No, I'm not against that stuff. I actually you ever watch that show Sports Science?
No.
Like Derek Jeter was on it where he was with his wife. They had sex with his wife for like the day before his game.
Right.
And then they tested his testosterone levels and his performance levels on a bunch of workouts. And then they had him play the game the next day. And he came back and did his test results again. Did the whole test all over again. And then he did it the following week before a game. Didn't have sex and then played the game. And his actual test results was better the week before when he did have sex as opposed to not. So that's all invalid. So I'm not against it. Like,
Nutting to victories, guys.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite sex position then? Since you guys are both fighters, are you guys like all in like pretzels and shit?
No, that's extravagant. We're probably always all sore, so it's like it's as simple as it gets, you know. As long as we're satisfied.
No, I didn't know if you were putting her like a double under a headlock.
What? That's interesting. Did your wrestler friend show you that?
Why do you think I was with him so long?
Double headlock. Would he put you in a full Nelson?
Do you have to wear a cup when you're fighting?
Yes, you have to wear a cup when you're fighting. I think it was my second fight I got kicked in the dick. But it always happens at practice. It's always at sparring when we're with the boys and we're cracking each other and I'll take a nice kick to the nuts. Man, that's probably one of the most painful things ever. So my buddy Brad, that I was telling you about earlier, he's probably one of the hardest kickers I've ever really moved around with and got to spar with. And he kicked me once in the dick, cracked my cup. And my balls were blue for a couple days.
What?
Yeah, like it hurt.
Damn, Brad.
Yeah, it hurt to pee. It was like, man.
Giving guys blue balls.
Yeah.
Do you ever like give your family or friends or anybody like defensive advice? Like, what's the easiest move that people can do if they're trying to do self-defense?
Kick him in the dick.
That's it. That's
Straight
it.
up. Yep.
Okay.
I always tell my cousins, they're like, oh, you gotta show me moves, like my girl cousin, because I'm in a real female dominant family.
Okay.
And so like they're always like, oh, show me how for punch and kick, like, bro, if someone comes up on you, straight up kick him in the dick.
That's the easiest route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, crack him in the throat. Other that, you can do that, but straight to the dick, you're good. You can bounce,
My dad said that. Kick him in the dick, then punch him in the throat, and then hit him in the eyes.
You just gouge his eyes out. Yeah, the third one's a little excessive. I'm pretty sure they're on the ground after a good clean crack to the nuts.
Well, they might deserve it, depending on why I kicked him in the dick.
Yeah, I guess fair enough.
What's your favorite knockout move? Do you have a go-to?
My go-to, I like to call it claiming bodies.
You sound like a hoe.
Oh, now that I think about it, I'm not saying that no more. That sounds very bad. Claiming bodies. It's like a trophy case.
Yeah. Yeah, you're still 25. It counts for like a few more years. In your 30s, you can't be claiming bodies anymore.
Bodies, yeah. So I like getting people in the body. It's just like some kind of.
So you're not even aiming for the face.
Yeah, I don't mind. I like knocking people out, but it's when you hit somebody in the body and you hit them clean and you can feel that whole impact of like your punch or your kick going all the way through their sternum or their rib cage, and you can almost feel and hear their like the whole exhale of their oxygen just leave their body.
Like when you get the air taken out of you.
And nothing's left. And I think about it like it reminds me of like it's like taking someone's soul, It's like so I just took the soul out of you, like and your soul pops out of your mouth or something like from a cartoon. But yeah, I like that. That
should be your nickname. The
soul taker.
The soul taker. Do you have anything that you're pending, or you're just waiting for things to start again? You said August, September, right?
This will be August, September. So I'm just trying not to lose my mind and keep myself sane until then, because it's just kind of up in the air. I hate the feeling of feeling stagnant. Like I feel very stagnant right now.
We're going to be looking for you in the upcoming 2021
Hopefully to put a show on for everybody.
Yeah.
Coming back with vengeance. I still have a sour taste in my mouth from December 19th.
Why? What happened?
I took my first loss.
Oh, your first loss was the last fight you did?
Yeah, it was my last fight. Back in front of my hometown. They brought me back home to Hawaii, fight in front of my home crowd. And I took an L. It was fucking ridiculous.
Was he more experienced than you? The fighter?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a black belt. No excuses. He was a better fighter that night.
Who's this hat label?
My cousin's brand back home. It's The Firm. I'm trying to start something of my own. Start my own clothing line. Nothing crazy. Just a little support stuff, and maybe eventually get onto the bigger scene with everybody's like casual clothes, streetwear, and then I'm gonna actually take over the Overachievers. I like it. Overachievers kind of fits me.
We can't take any L's. We've taken too many in 2020. There's just too much going on, so you have no option.
Nope, no more.
You gotta go in there thinking some dark shit.
This is for COVID.
Until next time, guys. Peace out.